Right on. So, Sulojana, let's look at what are some other things that people mentioned as issues that they would like us to address. And so we'll just maybe read some of them. So even in the relational area, a couple of people actually talked about lack of appreciation, for all the work that somebody does, even to bring people together for Christmas, maybe in terms of decorating, in terms of preparing all the extra meals and so on.
Yeah,
and we do
baking, the cooking.
Yeah. And we do realize that this year, especially in the Canadian context, many of our provinces all across the country, our governments are basically advising us not to get together at Christmas, even within provinces. The province that we live, called Ontario, Canada, our daughter, for example, lives in downtown Toronto area, which is under lockdown right now. And so they're forbidden from coming, traveling even an hour and a half to where we are by Niagara Falls to come and celebrate with us. So that may be a reality for some of you. And that can cause its own, kind of stress, can't it? Not being able to get together.
Yeah. That's why I mentioned earlier, some people might be happy, that because they, like last week, we kind of talked a little bit, how they don't look forward to some of the disagreements, the arguments they might have. But at the same time, I also mentioned, people will miss their families where there's unity. You look forward to looking, meeting, getting together with your children, with the extended family, and that's not happening this year. That can be stressful. Also, not being able to see them.
Because for some, Christmas holiday season can actually be a stress reliever. Because of being with family, getting away from where you are all the time, like even the change of place, a different location, change of pace, of course, those are all welcome. Most years at holiday time, or many families, and couples, if you don't have children, that are part of the picture anymore, use this time to travel.
Home, living at home.
Living at home, you go on cruises, you go on holidays. Or maybe you have a timeshare, or in Canada, many people have winter lodges, holidays. If you're a ski buff, then this is a good time to go skiing in Colorado, or some of those hot spots for. Is that a right word to say? Hot spot for skiing? I don't know. So all those plans, are basically null and void this year.
Yeah.
So you have to spend even more time with each other. Okay. And one of the things somebody else mentioned here was the underlying stresses that have underlying issues, things that have already built up,
because of the pandemic.
Yeah. And not just the pandemic, I think also because of issues in the marriage, that have built up over the years. And Christmas does not provide that relief this year, because you still have to be together. Right. Yeah. And so one of the things we talked about last week, is that in some ways, the stresses that crop up at Christmas and holidays are really founded or caused by not necessarily the season. The season kind of tends to aggravate things, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that have been, maybe swept under the rug, kept under the surface,
already
there. Yeah. And so the remedies that you take, because you really don't have much control over what's happening on the outside, right? So like I was on a call the other day, and one of the guys that was on the call had made plans to celebrate, his wife's anniversary, and they had very purposely researched and found a place to go that was not affected quite that badly. By the pandemic. The restrictions were not quite there. They were not in lockdown or anything. But then, lo and behold, the governor of the state all of a sudden said, no travel, no Christmas gatherings. And so it's a terrible letdown, for them not to be able to, do what they thought they had planned to do. So all of a sudden, you have to come face to face Well, all what I was trying to say is you cannot control what happens outside of you, but you are in total control of what happens inside you. Yeah. And so one of the best pieces of advice that we can give you for this season and really for all the time in your marriage is focus on the things that you can control. Make the changes that you are able to make on your own, rather than get stressed out about what you cannot change. Right?
I think the first step is to accept your situation right now. Everybody's living in different places, accept how Christmas is going to be, in spite of all the plans that you made, because of the restrictions. First of all, accept it. Okay, so we can get together with family. Now, what is the next step? So that, you're not worrying, your mind is not, kind of wandering. And yeah, just let's deal with, make the best of our situation now. Right?
Yeah. And one of the things that we stress a lot in our marriage mentorship, Sulojana mentioned earlier about how we take a married couple who's on the brink of breakdown and bring them to breakthrough, in as little as 10 weeks. And we even guarantee the results. And one of the reasons we're able to do that is because we help couples to focus on the things that they can do, that they can control individually and together as a couple.
Yeah.
And so, for example, one of our foundational, elements of our mentorship is really stressing the importance of forgiveness. Right? Yeah. And I was just thinking, like, even with the pandemic, when somebody outside of you decides that you cannot get together, the airline calls and says, sorry, we've canceled the flight because we're not getting anybody into your favorite destination this year because of that. So of course you're disappointed. I think all of us are going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
You cannot,
that's a human
that's
being,
a human,
yes.
that's human response.
Reaction.
But if we dwell on that hurt, then we're building up some unforgiveness, and out of that unforgiveness, we can start to get angry. We can be resentful, and if we keep on dwelling on anger and resentment, that turns into bitterness.
Yeah.
And so our anger and bitterness and resentment may be at that external force, the state governor, in our case, our prime minister, premier, our local mayor, council, whoever, prevented us from getting together. But who you're going to take that out on? Not on those people out there. You take it out on the people closest to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so normally, who are the people closest to you? It's your spouse.
If you're married.
If you're children. And so in other words, you need to forgive even those people that you don't know, who put you in that kind of predicament. And so that's the starting point. And of course, when you're together all the time, we do create a lot of reasons to forgive and to be forgiveness and to receive forgiveness, right? Because we tend to rub people the wrong way and have more friction with the people closest to us than with people who are at a distance from us.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Yeah. So you know what? This Christmas, maybe and holiday season is probably a good time, for you to really come clean, before God, with each other, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And to say, hey, God, what are some things that I need to, receive forgiveness for, right? And also, just ask God to show you, what are some ways in which, I have hurt my wife, my husband, right? Yeah.
Some of the things that we have done, first of all, ourselves to others. Holy Spirit will highlight that for you.
Yeah.
And then if others have hurt you, then you bring those before God also and forgive and let go.
Yeah.
They owe you nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's a book. It's not that big, but a very powerful book that we recommend to all of our couples, and it's like under $10. I think it's like $6 or $7 on Amazon, called Grace and Forgiveness. It is written by some senior leaders in the church named John and Carol Arnott, based in Cast the Fire Toronto, is the movement that God used them to found over 25 years ago now. And we actually use a number of their prayers that are in that little book in our mentorship. And so we would highly recommend, like, I know a lot of times we're looking for things to read over the holidays. That is a very quick read, but it'll have a very lasting impact upon you, upon your marriage, upon your life, really, right? Yeah, because forgiveness is not limited to marriage. So that's one of the number one things that we would highly recommend that you take care of. Yeah, I can put the name of the book there. That's a really good idea, Sulojana. Okay, so Sulojana, keep talking. And what else can people do at this time of the year in terms of dealing with these kind of stresses that crop up?
Before we got on live, this session, I was telling Jeeva, sometimes we are piling up so much stuff, so much celebration, so many get-togethers. It can be at work, with family and extended family, and things like that. And then, come January, there's nothing, right? So some of the things that we can, maybe postpone them and celebrate, wait till January and celebrate them, because there's not much going on at that time, to make things so that you can spread out things and not, stress yourself working out everything, around Christmas time. I thought, that's an idea. I'm not sure if it was at work, a few of us ladies, wanted to get together around Christmas time. We thought, why do we have to do it now? Let's wait till January. There was one year, and that's probably one of the best things. Everyone was so relaxed, we didn't have too much of other commitments, and we still had a really good time. So that's one suggestion, that came to me. If you can wait and put off some of the celebrations or get-togethers, it doesn't have to be, those that don't have to be, at Christmas time. Wait till January. Just one little tip.
And I don't know what it is like in your jurisdiction, but in some of our areas, the schools are actually getting an extra long break. And so rather than go back to school right at the end of the holidays, right? Some of the schools are getting an extra week. So even with children, rather than put yourself under a lot of stress to do everything just in this very, very short time period, you can postpone some things into the new year, spread them out. Have a good time. And even some of the breaks that you plan to take, maybe before Christmas or between Christmas and New Year's, like take them a little bit later. So
birthdays, some people have birthdays either after Christmas or before Christmas that you cannot really work into the holiday time. Maybe see if you can wait till January and celebrate. Just a little tip.
And one of the things we talked about this last time, actually, we specifically in terms of gift giving, and that is give gifts according to the love language of your spouse. And so one of the things that we've been sharing with some of the couples that we mentor lately is that no matter what your love language is, there are some things that everybody appreciates all the time. And one of the things that everyone appreciates all the time is words of appreciation. And so if you have fallen short in that area, with your spouse throughout the year, so one of our viewers actually last time, she had started a conversation with us even before this session, kind of asking, how can I do some gift giving according to my husband's love language? And so one of the things that she decided she would do is actually write a letter, that expresses all the appreciation that she has not offered her husband, for all the things that she had maybe taken for granted, the things he does for the family, the things he does with the children, the things he does for her. And so this is a time when we have to find ways to counteract the stress. So Sulojana, as if you've been on LinkedIn and Facebook, Sulojana has been doing a series of posts lately on living a stressless life in marriage. And one of the things, Sonia, you mentioned was gratitude, and we talked about you talked about like doing a gratitude journal and so on. But that gratitude is not just to God for the things that you're thankful for.
That's right.
But it's also gratitude, towards each other.
If you're married,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
your children, you
Mhm.
can be.
Yeah.
Even simple thing I wrote down, just good health, the weather. Yeah.
And you know what? We're talking a little about children, being home and so on. Encourage your children, to write some of those things that they appreciate in their siblings. If they're old enough to express that for their mommy and daddy or other members of the family. And of course, some of the children, would do a lot better to draw pictures, rather than to write, especially, if they haven't got to the place of learning the alphabet and putting words and sentences together. Then, get them to, so create an atmosphere of gratitude, in your home at Christmas time. Another post that you mentioned, Sulojana, is really about like take your eyes off yourself and on others. We'll put them on others, focus on others, which is actually like a very good advice. And we tend to do it a little more in this season, right? We become more aware of people who are not able to celebrate Christmas, people who need gloves and coats and scarves and
donating to charities,
that type of thing. But the principle behind that is really giving to others, and not just focusing on me, what I want, what I need even, but to focus on others. And you can start doing that right in your household, couldn't you?
Yeah. So what is it? Just like the love language you're saying. Doing things for
so giving
for your spouse.
Giving does not necessarily have to be buying expensive gifts. It could be giving each other the time, attention, time, appreciation, and quality time, like whether it's your love language or not, like spending time with each other. I don't think any of your spouses are going to push you away and say, like, get away from me. You're spending too much time with me. We've never heard a couple make that complaint. We're always together too much, and that's why our marriage is in such rough shape. Said no one. All right. And so so give to each other what that person needs.
Exactly.
And something, if you're not totally sure what your husband needs, your wife needs from you,
ask them.
That's a big hint right there. Okay. Just ask, hey, I know I've been very busy with with my projects, and haven't really been paying a lot of attention to you. What are some things that I can do for you? What are some gaps that you are seeing, in our relationship, that I can help fill? And first of all, your spouse might fall off the chair when they hear that question, because they probably haven't heard that question from you. But that's okay. It's a good time to ask those questions, because these are the questions we need to ask all the time. But we don't always get to ask.
And we probably don't realize the importance of asking our spouse that question. So that's a good point.
As Sulojana has been mentioning in the social media posts, one of the reasons that she's taking a lead this week is because I'm busy writing a book, based on our marriage mentorship process. And actually today I was writing the chapter on time, actually, on making time for each other, in a marriage, and being intentional about it, and how often in the middle of our busy schedules and commitments, with work, with business, in the community, our children's sports things, all those kind of things, we tend to neglect the time that we need to give each other. So what I'm kind of getting at is that this is a really good time to establish some good new habits that can then carry on in the new year. Like one of the things that you often hear talked about in context of marriage is what people call date nights, right? And so what is the date night? A date night is really the gift of time that you give each other. I would even take it one step further. It is not just the gift of time, it is the gift of undivided attention that you give to each other, right?
Yeah.
And so this season, gives you a perfect opportunity to do that, because you're not going to work, you have time. And so so if you have children, then, and you're not able to drop them off with family, if that's not a luxury that is available to you, then you know what, take some of the money that you would have normally spent traveling somewhere and invest in a babysitter, and just the two of you, go out for a whole afternoon, go out for a morning, go away for a whole day, if possible. Or if possible, even go overnight somewhere. Just go for a night and just be together. 1 year
with the restrictions you have to.
Yeah.
If you're able to.
Exactly. Yeah. But like Sulojana and I, like we do this a few times a year, where we both go together and we get his and hers pedicures. Did I hear somebody laugh? Okay. Yes. I always thought pedicures were not for me. They were just for the ladies and for Sulojana. So I would gladly pay for her to go and get a pedicure. And
I like it when he comes and joins me.
And then 1 year, I think we got this brilliant idea that because we live very close to Niagara Falls, and so we thought for our anniversary, we would treat each other to the gift of a pedicure at the spa. I think it's at the Sheraton Hotel, if I'm not mistaken. The spa actually overlooks the falls, and so we thought, let's go, and get his and hers done. And if nothing, we'll get some good pictures to post on Facebook, right? It was a little pricier, because I think we're paying for the view as much as we're paying for the service. But you know what? I loved the pedicure. I just, loved the way my feet felt afterwards. So since then, we've done it a few times, haven't we? Yeah, we even had one maybe about a month or 6 weeks ago. Yeah, just went to a local place here, a nail place, and just sat there, relaxed for a while. And I think when we went to Niagara Falls, we went and had I don't know, some coffee or cappuccino or lunch or something together afterwards.
Went for a little walk.
Along the falls. Yeah. And so it was, I mean, obviously we did that for our anniversary, but I'm saying we can do that just as easily now. And I would even venture to say that some of these places that used to be very, very busy normally are not going to be this season. And so this is a perfect time to treat yourself, treat each other. What you're treating each other to is not really the pedicure. It's really being with each other. The gift of time, the gift of undivided attention to each other. Because we sat there and we just talked away about things. We're close enough, we could hold hands.
And looked at each other.
Yeah, of course, today we'll probably have to wear a mask when we do that.
That's right. This was a few years.
But the one we got here a couple of months ago. We were masked, but our eyes could talk. Hello. All right. So give yourself those. But what I'm really saying is, develop some new habits. And so let's say you have a 2-week break, between school and work and all those kind of things. Then maybe on those 2 weeks, establish a certain time when you give each other that undivided attention, and so start a new habit, of being together. So one of the other things you talked about in terms of relieving stress, not just Christmas stress, holiday stress, but stress all times, is taking some time just to be quiet.
Oh yeah, that's a powerful stress releaser. Just put some, we call it soaking music. So you can go to YouTube, and if you put soaking instrumental, you'll get lots of those soaking. Some people call it meditation, but there's a little difference. So put that on. Just don't do anything else. No praying. Just clear your mind and just focus on God and sit there and just feel his presence, feel the peace, that you cannot explain, and it's a great stress releaser. And we do that almost every day. I do it just before we go to bed, even if it's a few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The more you can do it, the longer, the better. So if you need more information on that, send us a message, or we've got some information we can give you.
And one of the things that you can use with when we talk about these date nights or spending time with each other, sometimes when you are not used to doing that, you're going to think, what are we going to talk about? Aren't we going to run out of things to talk about? We can help you with that. Just send us a message. We'll be glad to send you some questions that you can ask each other. Simple questions. And like they're not questions that'll get you into a disagreement. So we will not have any political questions in there for you to get into a debate on and pull you apart even more. But there are details that quite often we haven't shared with each other. And sometimes for example, I don't think this is an actual question there, but let's say the question is something along the lines of, hey, who was your favorite teacher in grade 7? And you probably haven't thought about your grade 7 years in a long time. For some of you, that may not be a long ways back, but some people like us, it may be a few decades that we have to go back to get to grade 7. But whatever that may be, when you actually start thinking about that and sharing, you first of all get to relive some good memories, maybe even some friends from those days. But also your spouse gets to find out some details about you, because we know things about each other by hanging around each other's families. We may have heard some stories and so on. But there are questions there about your parents or some of the others in your family. What ways are you like your father, mother, like that type of thing. So some of them are a little bit deeper, but they will actually help you to talk to each other more.
And it will bring you closer to each other also. The more you get to know each other, the more you open up and expose yourself, be vulnerable to your spouse. The more sometimes there are difficult things. It's difficult to talk about, but that's okay. Just talk about it anyways, and it'll bring you closer to each other than anything else.
And can you smooth that a little bit? If you want a fun read that will also provoke some good discussion, I'm going to put up another book title here that, again, we actually recommend this to all of our couples in our mentorship. And this is a fun read, but it's more than a fun read. It actually also has some discussion questions at the end of the book. Okay, so the name of the book, Sulojana, you tell them what the name of the book is, and I'll put it up on the screen.
Oh, men are like waffles and women are like spaghetti.
Okay, so there we go. Men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti, by Bill and Pam Farrell. This is not a new book. I think this book's been around probably a good 20 years. A lot of people know Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
That's
the Dr. John Gray book.
That's a good one also.
That's very good. This is a little bit shorter than that one. That's a little bit more academic. True. This is a little bit more like kind of a conversational, colloquial kind of a language, but it has a lot of truths. And this one, is very solidly biblical as well. And so that's one of the reasons why we recommend it, because, ours is a faith-based mentorship that we offer. But the good thing about this book is you laugh a lot when you read this book. It's light reading. But to get the best out of this book, what you need to do is to do those discussion questions, right?
They are way at the back of the book for each chapter. So finish one chapter each and then go to the questions way at the back of the book and, have a discussion with your spouse.
Yeah.
And it makes it that much more interesting.
Yeah.
And something to talk about.
Yeah. And this one, like, you can keep, you don't have to put yourself under pressure to finish this over the Christmas holidays. You can actually start now. And then, like, this could be the theme of your date night, for a few weeks, or maybe you can stretch it out over, 2 or 3 months even, if you're not a very fast reader. So whenever you, get together in those times, you can talk about, hey, what did you read this week from the book?
Yeah.
What are some things that stood out for you? In what ways, are you like this? Or do you see me, doing that waffle stuff? What are some waffles in which I put myself? By the way, just in case you're wondering, let's try and explain why they call it waffles and spaghetti.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
You talk about waffles first.
Okay. Yeah. So waffles refers to a tendency that men have to compartmentalize everything. So one of Sulojana's famous things to me is, you have difficulty multitasking, don't you? You can only focus on one thing at a time. There are a couple of exceptions to that, I try to tell her. But for the most part, she doesn't believe that I can listen to her and look at my cell phone at the same time. She does not. She's when you're in waffles, you can't do that. You're either caught in the phone box of the waffle, or you're caught up in her, and not both. Okay. Now,
usually it's the phone and you're ignoring the spouse.
Now, with women, on the other hand,
yeah,
what does it mean to be like spaghetti?
Yeah, so we can start with one subject, and then all of a sudden we are onto another thing, and onto another thing, and by the end of it, we were wondering, how did we get there?
Yeah. So, like this could be a typical spaghetti, conversation. It's like, hey, Jeeva, your dad actually called. Make sure you call him back. And did you know that they have a sale going on right now? At the mall, and I that I need shoes. And speaking of shoes, when we went on that trip, across the border, and we went to that big shoe store. What's the name of that store again? And it was in that mall. They also had these beautiful Christmas trees, didn't they? Oh, that reminds me, we need to get a Christmas tree for our house this time. So that's spaghetti for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can be all over the place, but we're not talking about being scatterbrained. It's like it's kind of weaving in and out of different things, like a bowl of spaghetti. It's all there together, but it's not like a waffle where this compartment, boom, this compartment. Spaghetti is okay, easily navigate from one to the next.
Yeah. That's how we are wired, I guess.
Yeah. So that's a fun read. So all we're recommending is do something fun. Read a little bit at a time. Let me also give you a hint. One of the things we found out from our couples in marriage mentorship is that not between a husband and a wife, not always do you find both are readers. Like some of them both love to read, so this gets done very easily. Some cases, one is a reader. The other one basically said, "Thank God I'm out of school. No more reading to do." I've given up reading for life. Okay?
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of cases where I'll give you two cases. One is where the husband could not catch up with his wife. She was just so used to reading that she was just way ahead of him. So he got the brainwave that he would get the audio book. I think he had an Audible subscription, and so he basically got the book, and before you know it, he caught up with her just like that. Another case where again the man he wanted to read, but he knew that it would take him a lot of time and effort, to read. Where she again was quite a reader. And so they came up with the idea that they would actually read together. Well, she would read, and he would be there with her, and then they would
read it out loud.
Out loud, yeah. And then they would answer the questions together. So however you make it work. So that's another way. Again, what is the goal? The goal is to find some ways to communicate with each other, but it doesn't feel like you're kind of on an inquisition. where your husband or your wife is interrogating you, like they're from the FBI or the CIA, or the CSIS here in Canada, trying to pump you, stuff out of you, but you just get into a casual conversation that is enjoyable. At the same time, you're learning a lot about each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are all, and the whole point of that is to say, use the holidays, use this Christmas season to develop some new habits, to get something started that will stand you in good stead, as you go beyond the season.
No, we have dealt with all the
I
questions.
think we've covered everything. Yeah. And so, friends, just to let you know, like, we are totally open, to hearing from you, to receive any queries that you may have, any questions that you may have, as far as your marriage is concerned. We are like always glad to make time, to meet with you. And then if your marriage is at a place where, things are not looking all that great, then we can help you.
I was going to say, even though the next 2 weeks we are not going to do the live, and you run into situations, you're having difficulty with your marriage, you need some help, just send us a message. We'll be glad to be there for you, pray with you, do whatever we can, or even get on a Zoom call. And if you're, nowadays distance is no problem. We can get on Zoom and see what we can do, right? Yeah.
And also, like some of you who are watching, everything is well with you. Praise God for that. But you may have friends, or you may have family members for whom this is a very difficult season in their marriage. Some of them are talking divorce. I just heard somebody say today that when the pandemic eased up, this a few months ago, in some of the Asian countries, I think they were mentioning Japan, where like pretty well the day the courts opened up, there was like a flood of couples that filed for divorce. I heard the same thing happen in China also, and even in some of the U.S. states. And so yeah, and the longer this continues, I mean, we're just being told that as the vaccines are being made available, but we still will likely going to endure restrictions, until a certain herd immunity, is created. And so these stresses, unfortunately, are likely, to continue, and maybe even, get more accentuated. And so if that happens, like don't lose hope. That's basically what we want to tell you, is that there is hope for you. And as followers of Jesus, we this Christmas is a very special season for us, and we believe that by faith in Him, with the power of His Holy Spirit, all things are possible.
Yeah. One other thing, as you were talking, you fell in love, and if you have faith, God brought you both together, not for a short time. You got married for a lifelong commitment, and let's work it out. Let's work it out. It's all doable. So just reach out for help. If it's not us, you might have somebody in your family circle or in your church circle. Get some help, and don't give up too soon. Your marriage is just worth so much more, right?
Especially if you have children. You don't want your children, to suffer for generations, right? And so anyway, all we're trying to say to you is reach out to us, and we will likely be able to help you. But in case we cannot, then we'll be glad to find somebody for you that you can work with, maybe close by in your area. But a lot of our mentorship, we've been doing it on Zoom before most people discovered there was something called Zoom. And so we're very used to doing things online. All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm pretty sure something happened to our Facebook feed today for people not to be able to join us. But don't worry, we will post a recording of this on all the social media channels, YouTube, Facebook, and of course LinkedIn. Obviously, it was on LinkedIn because we had people respond from there. But we want to thank you all for joining us. And if you're watching the recording, we want to thank you also because you took the time, to go through this with us. And we're not going to see you until the new year. So let's take this opportunity to wish you a Merry Christmas. And and a bright and prosperous new year. And so, as we always do, we're going to end with a prayer and a blessing over all of you. Okay, Sulojana.
Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this time that we were able to share with everyone who was able to join, and also those who are going to listen to this in the future, Lord. Father, thank you for speaking through us. And we pray a blessing upon each and everyone that's listening right now, and also that are going to listen into the future. Father, be with each and every one of us, especially during this Christmas season. And Father, I pray that you will bless each one of us with your peace, and also with your wisdom, with your discernment on what we can do, how we can best make use of this this season, and enjoy at the same time. Father, with you all things are possible, and your word says you will never leave us or forsake us. Help us celebrate, and help us also keep in mind the true meaning of Christmas, Lord. And not lose that focus, and help us. If there are services going on, most places probably services are going on online. Help us participate in those, Lord, and keep our eyes focused on you. And we know as we do that, everything else will fall into place. And Father, I pray that your peace will remain with each and every one of us. And we love you. We thank you for all your blessings, and thank you for coming into this earth, Lord Jesus, as a human being, so that you knew and you understood what each one of us are going through, because you have been through it yourself. And we thank you and praise you, Lord, and be with all of us in Jesus' name.
So God bless you all. We will see you again. Thank you, Nidal, joining us there. That's a good way to end our session today. God bless you all, everybody, and we will see you again in the new year. See you next year. God bless. Bye-bye.